Okay, finished the second slew of data that I'm for the book that I'm writing, because I really wanted to print it by August. Okay, so the data that I got, what I did is I read 24 pages of a forum called Doctissimo, Transidentité, and each from 24 pages, and the 57th page has 37 discussion, and all the other pages has 51 discussion. And I have assumed, okay, I'll show you this is the last part of the calculations of the data, or the interpretation of the data. Okay, the other, the data itself and the other calculation of the data is on the description of the video. Okay, so I'll keep it like that. So basically, the first calculation I've done, okay, I've calculated there's like 13,871 messages throughout the 24 pages that I read. Okay, especially the discussion of interest. Okay, I read all the discussions, and out of 13,871 messages, just by calculation, I assumed that each visitor, posted 100 messages. So I came up to about 239 visitors. And I had assumed, this is just an assumation on my part, because the visitors, that only 30% of the visitors of that forum are trans women. The others are trans man, transvestite, parents, husbands and wives, and also trolls. Okay, there's a lot of trolls. So I came up to 42 trans women. But at the bottom right here, if you look at the data, the calculation, well, the data that I posted on the description, there's like 19 trans women not taking hormones from 2004 to 2010, and 19 from 2010 to 2020, and 19 from 2020 and up. Okay, so I came up, so that comes up to about a total of 57 trans women not taking hormones, and there's supposedly 42 trans women in the throughout the forum. Okay, that's what I calculated. So I said it's a little bit off. Okay, but the data is not the best because 3/4 of the profiles have been the visitors have completely erased their profile, but their messages are still on the forum. It just says profil supprimé, means what happened is that they erased who they are, they erased their profile, so you can't read their profile, but you could still read their messages on the forum. So their pseudonym doesn't come up, so I don't know who said what, who said who, whatever. So I don't know. So the data is a little bit off. Maybe there's one trans woman saying a whole bunch of negative stuff throughout the forum, and I calculated as like maybe 20. I'm not sure. So, but I am assuming the data is close, relatively close. So it depends, by other statistician, if they check my data, if they could do a better job than I do in the forum. Like I've done it at this is the French forum from France, Doctissimo, Transidentité. The one in Quebec, their forum is out of work for a while, so I don't have access to their forum. So what I did is so at first I said, okay, just by memory, I've listed the pseudonyms of trans women who take estrogen from that forum. Okay, so there's 34. So it's still 57, 34. But what I might do is that they might say, I might take this and add it to this, and that makes it, hold on, 91 trans women in the form instead of like, but like I said, my calculation might be off because the data doesn't give me everything, all the information, the name, the pseudonym of the person, and also even the messages. The messages might be vague. Like I'm not sure where to put it. Either for between the 4 positive or the 4 negatives. And also sometimes they say something negative, but it's positive at the same time. It's just a warning. Okay. So what I did, okay, and I recalculated. So with the end calculation, this time what I did is I will assume correction that I'll post 50 messages instead of 100 messages, but it might be 20 or it might be just 10. So from 13,871 divided by 50 messages per visitors, I came up to 277 visitors. 30% are trans women. I came up to about 83 trans women. So it might be off, but it's close enough to 91. The data seems to follow my first data, which is the visual data. The first data is that I looked at about 2,000, a little bit over 2,000 photos of trans women throughout the world. And I sampled 385 photos of trans women throughout the world, and then I separate them in 2 groups: the ones who pass, the ones who are not passing. Okay, and the ones in the group that comes to that are from France and Quebec, it's like 50-50. The other groups, it's like their how should I say, their success with flying colors. Like it's almost like 90 to 10, 90% or 99%, between I would say between 80% to 99% for the Japanese. So that is that's very good, okay, compared to the French. And I came up just by looking at this data here. I centered the two, like I localized the 2 prompts, trans women throughout the world, especially in France and Quebec, and it's stupidity and also psychiatrists. Psychiatrists, they have a tendency to refuse white poor boys, especially in France and in Quebec, the hormones. Okay, so if that seems to be the what it points to. Okay. Also, for the stupidity thing, is that they should educate themselves. Also, they should exercise their intellect. They should, like, I'm not talking about somebody who's has Down syndrome or has a brain damage. I'm talking about somebody who's born normal. Okay, it's just being raised by especially a mother that keeps them dumb, not using their brain. Or I don't know. They're just so they just have to out-condition themselves of their upbringing. And I'll give an example. And also, they should educate themselves especially on the human body, the biology of the human body. So anything, and somebody ignorant, can be also very intelligent. It's just that person doesn't know, didn't get the data yet. Okay, shall we say? But this person is intelligent, so this person could extrapolate extrapolate what he or she sees quite well, and just by logic. Okay, for example, like a lot of the French trans women in Quebec and France, when they hear from a psychiatrist or other French trans women, it says, natural women's natural estrogen is poisonous to men. Okay, and they believe it. Well, they should know that all humans for the past 200 million years have estrogen in their body. So it's something natural. It's like vitamins. It's something that we built. Plants have estrogen. Women's bioidentical structure, estrogen. Okay. Also, since 1901, there were about like 300 million trans women who are taking women's natural estrogen, and we didn't see 300 million trans women dying suddenly because they took estrogen. So there's a certain logic. My next data is to reread what I've read, all the sexologists and biologists, their books, to specify if the condition boys and men to rape girls and women by their theories and especially their principles. Okay, so that will be the next data. So I have to reread a whole bunch of biologists and sexologists on that. So that's going to be the next video. Okay, bye.